Alex Hughes struck his career best score while David Wainwright made his best for Derbyshire as they led a strong recovery after Leicestershire had threatened a follow-on the second day of the LV County Championship match at Grace Road. The visitors opened up with a score of 12 without loss in reply to their host 311. Paul Borrington fell in the morning second over as he edged the ball from Anthony Ireland into the hands of Greg Smith in the slips. That brought in Wayne Madsen early, and he looked in good nick as he hit a number of pleasing boundaries on a pitch which was offering some assistance to the seamers. That has often been the case at Grace Road this season, a ground where the balance between bat and ball has just about always been fair. The batsmen had to be at their best, and Stephen Moore wasn't, as he was trapped in front by Ben Rain with the score on 47 for 2. These pictures show just what the batsmen were up against. Both Rain and Rob Taylor kept up the pressure by producing the occasional jaffa, which were too good even for the likes of Marcus North and Madsen, two very talented cricketers. Lunch came early because of rain, and when the players returned to the middle, the man called Rain produced another cracker to have Madsen held by Ned Eckersley after making 27 out of his side 68 for 3. It was tough going for the visitors, who began this match out of sorts at the foot of the LV County Championship and without a win in any game of cricket this year. North and Scott Elston had to take advantage of any loose delivery, and they were able to take the total up to 90 before Leicestershire began to take control. Elston won't want to see his dismissal too often. Had he left this ball alone from Alex Wyatt, it may have even been a wide. Instead, the batsman tickled it behind. North did at least take the score into 3 figures as he moved on to 23, only to nick another very good delivery from Ireland to Niall O'Brien. When Wyatt then bowled Gareth Cross for a duck, Derbyshire were left on 115 for 6, still needing 47 runs to avoid being asked to follow on. That might not have been avoided had Hughes been given out LBW to Ireland. It must have been very close. Both Hughes and Wainwright, who came together in the 50th over, may have been pleased to see James Sykes be given a go with the ball. In his first match of the summer, he offered the occasional 4-ball, which got Hughes' innings up and running. The follow-on was avoided, and then Hughes and Wainwright looked to reduce the arrears by as much as possible. Hughes had already betted his previous best score, and he then went to his maiden first-class 50, made in his 16th innings. It was a very valuable knock for his team, which had seen Derbyshire close in on their first batting bonus point by reaching 200. Hughes had been batting for 112 balls, and that was his 8th 4. His partnership with Wainwright moved on to 91 to reduce the deficit to 105, a much better place than Derbyshire had been at one point. But when Wyatt, with the second new ball in his hands, had Hughes caught by Rain off a mistimed pull to go for 60, the home side would have still fancied finishing the innings off with a decent enough lead. But Wainwright then stepped up a gear. He'd been happy to let Hughes do the majority of the scoring when they were together, but the spinner now took on Ireland and the new Cherry. These 3 4s were hit off 3 successive deliveries, before Wainwright also began the next over from Wyatt with a couple more boundaries. That meant that he hit 5 4s off 6 balls to pass 50 for the 10th time in his career. This was his moment, a rather fortunate way to get to a half-century with a bottom edge through the slips. The former Yorkshire player's previous best for this county was the 54 not out he made against Surrey at the Oval last year. He was soon beyond that after completing his 50 off 121 deliveries. It looked as if he might be left high and dry, however, as he lost Tony Palladino for a couple at the other end, Angus Robson with the catch off the bowling of Rain, who's having a fine match. As it turned out, that was to be Leicestershire's last success, as Wainwright and debutant Tom Taylor saw out the last 17 overs. Wainwright had a moment or two, but by the close he was nearing his first 100 for Derbyshire and the 3rd of his career. He would have been delighted with the way that the 19-year-old Taylor stayed with him for the last hour of the day. Taylor will go into day 3 on 20, while Wainwright is on 83, and between them they've carried the total to 279 for 8, which means that there is little to choose between these two East Midlands rivals. In fact, the visitors are now just 32 runs behind.